Good afternoon, students.
Good afternoon, sir.
Yeah, right. Are you hearing my voice?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So, before going to today's concept, we'll see the things what we discussed in the last class. As a part of Chinese civilization, ancient Chinese civilization, we covered the things like scientific contribution and architectural contribution to the world. Okay, so as a part of scientific contribution, you are well known that the various uh, technological skills which developed during the ancient Chinese civilization, like seismograph, one of the important one of the important technological development which developed by these Chinese people. Apart from that, they had idea over the various things like use of kites and umbrellas and the herbal chai like the tea and mariner compass like the things and abacus, one of the mathematical tool, also a great contribution from the Chinese people. And apart from that, there are other things to be uh, things which learn the whole world from the ancient Chinese civilization, which is one of the most important one, nothing but the preparation of the silk. Okay, so silk was totally the whole thing is confined to only the Chinese people because the secret of making the silk only maintain it as a secret for the whole world up to the medieval world. Okay, so medieval period, and then many people who learned, many people from various parts of the world learned making of the silk and growing the mulberry or like that. Okay, so it's totally a totally unique contribution from the ancient Chinese people. And apart from that, there are many other architectural contributions also we discussed. One among them, the Great Wall of China, nearly 1,100 miles long, the huge construction which is constructed during the time of the Han dynasty and repaid during the Ming dynasty, or like that. Okay, so it is a huge dynasty, huge structure or monument. You will get this, you can identify by the satellite also. Okay, so when you see from the sky, you will get, you identify the structure of Chinese wall. And apart from that, which is other things like terracotta army. Terracotta army also one of the important contribution. Still, which is a living example, you will get certain architectural style from these Chinese people. And apart from that, many important buildings and many palaces which constructed during the ancient period, particularly during the time of various dynasties, also you will get, and which is also one of the which is a great architectural contribution from the Chinese ancient Chinese civilization. Okay, so with this architectural contribution and scientific contribution, we completed the whole Chinese civilization in the last class. And uh, today we'll start with the ancient Egyptian civilization. Okay, so we already discussed all these things, and again we are revising. right? So ancient Egyptian civilization, one of the important civilization, which is having lots of unique features. Okay, so the mummification is one of the unique feature you learn from the ancient Egypt, and also construction of the pyramids, a huge structure, a huge monuments also you get from the only the ancient Egyptian civilization. Okay, so apart from these, there are other things to be learned, where these the every civilization had the influence of particular water body or a river. Likewise, in the Egypt, one influential river system which flowing in between the whole the ancient Egyptian civilization was the Nile. Okay, so Nile, which is the important river, covering the whole part of the territory of ancient Egypt, and providing the sufficient water, and also providing certain hinterland to settle for the particular people who migrated from the various part of the world. Okay, so such things we are going to see from this ancient Egyptian civilization. Okay, so before going to my lecture, I have to share my screen and then I'll continue my lecture. Okay, so ancient Egypt was one of the greatest and most powerful civilization in the history of the world, and it lasted for over 3,000 years, which approximately from 3,150 BC to 30 BC, are like that. Okay, so among the ancient Egypt civilization, the Nile River played an important role. Okay, so the civilization of ancient Egypt was located along the Nile River in northeast Africa, and the Nile was the source of much of ancient Egypt's wealth, and great Egyptian cities grew up along the Nile as the Egyptian people became experts in irrigation and were able to use the water from the Nile to grow rich and profitable crops. And the Nile provided food, soil, water, and transportation for the Egyptians. And great floods would come each year and would provide fertile soil for growing food or like that. Okay, so which giving the sufficient food to the people of ancient Egypt. And the historians usually group the history of ancient Egypt into three major kingdoms, like the Old Kingdom and the Middle Kingdom, the New Kingdom. And it was during these times that ancient Egypt was at its strongest, and the times between the kingdoms are called the intermediate periods. And when you see the culture, and I will give you now, I'm giving you certain brief things over this culture and society, economy, and various things. And I will give you these things in detail after completion of my brief introduction. Okay. So when you see the culture, the ancient Egypt was rich in culture, including government, religion, art, and writing. And the government and religion were tied together as the leader of the government, and the pharaoh was also leader of the religion, and writing was also important in keeping the government running. And only scribes would read and write, and they were considered powerful people. And when you see the pyramids as a treasure, The pyramids of Egypt was uh, one of the were the often buried in giant pyramids or in secret tombs, and they believed that they needed treasure to be buried with them to help to them in the afterlife. As a result, archaeologists have a lot of well preserved artifacts and tombs to examine in order to find out how the ancient Egyptians lived. And finally, the ancient Egyptian empire also weakened and finally declined and ended its the glorious past in around 700 and BC, like that. Okay, so every civilization we are starting with its geography, and I will start with the geography of ancient Egyptian civilization, and then I will move to the detailed things regarding the ancient Egyptian geography. Okay, so when you see the geography of the whole territory of ancient Egypt, you can see you see this ancient Egypt without you cannot see the ancient Egypt without the mention of this river Nile. Okay, so from the highlands of East Africa, the Mediterranean Sea, the Nile River flows northward across Africa over 4,100 miles, making it the longest river in the world. Okay, so a thin ribbon of water in a parched desert land, the Great River brings its water to Egypt from the distant mountains, plateaus, and lakes in present day Burundi, Tanzania, and also Uganda, Ethiopia, like that. Okay, so and when you see the particularly about the Nile River, which the Egypt settlements arose along the Nile of a narrow Nile on a narrow strip of land made fertile by the river. Okay, so the change from fertile soil to desert, from black land to the red land was so abrupt that a person could stand with one foot in each. Okay, so and we can say that the Nile River played an important role in shaping the lives and society of ancient Egypt, and the Nile provided the ancient Egyptians with food, transportation, building material, and so on. And when you see this ancient river, ancient, you see the relation with the influence of Nile River on the ancient Egypt, which is better to be called as it's a gift of Nile. Okay, so where the whole civilization, ancient civilization, called as the gift of Nile. Okay, so as in Mesopotamia, yearly flooding brought the water and rich soil that allowed settlement to grow. And every year in July, rains and melting snow from the mountains of East Africa caused the Nile River to rise and spill over its banks. And when the river receded in October, it left behind a rich deposit of fertile black mud called silk. And you can see such the most important thing the Nile provided to the ancient Egyptians was fertile land, and most of Egypt is desert, but along the river, along the Nile River, the soil is rich and good for growing crops. And the three most important crops wheat, uh, wheat was the main staple food of the Egyptians, and they use it to make bread, and they also sold a lot of the wheat throughout the Middle East, helping the Egyptians to be the flax. flax was used to make linen cloth for clothing, and this was the main type of cloth used by the Egyptians. And when you see the papyrus, papyrus was a plant that grew along the shores of the Nile, and the ancient Egyptians found many uses for this plant, including paper, baskets, rope, and sandals are like that. And when you see um, other things like around the September of each year, the Nile would overflow banks and flood the surrounding area. And this sounds bad at first, but it was one of the most important events in the life of the ancient Egyptians. And the flood brought rich black soil and renewed farmlands. Okay, so and when you see the building material, the Nile river also provided a lot of building material for the ancient Egyptians. They used the mud from the river banks to make sun-dried bricks, and these bricks were used in building homes, walls, and other buildings. And the Egyptians also quarried limestone and sandstone from the hills along the sides of the Nile. And when you see the transportation, um, the since most of the major cities of ancient Egypt were built along the Nile River, and the river could be used like a major highway throughout the empire. And boats constantly traveled up and down the Nile carrying people and goods. When you see the seasons, which is seasons also, which is based on the flowing of the river. And the Egyptians even built their calendar around river Nile, and they divided their calendar up into the three seasons. Okay, or inundation was considered the first season, and was the time of the flooding of the Nile, and the other two seasons were the Peret and the growing season, and Shemu, the harvest season. Okay, so and apart from that, you can also have certain interesting factors regarding the Nile, where Nile River had other some interesting facts also. But we already discussed those things in the last classes, and I will directly move to certain cities which you find in the ancient Egyptian civilization, and I will give you some of the brief introduction over such these important cities you find in the ancient Egypt. Okay, so the cities of ancient Egypt was developed along the Nile River due to the fertile farmlands along its banks, and the typical city had a wall around it with two entrances, and there was a major road down the center of the town with a smaller and narrow street which connecting to it also. Okay, so and the houses and the buildings were made of mud brick, and if a building was destroyed in a flood, generally a new building was just built on to it top. Okay, so you can see this on a basis of certain environmental challenges, and the Egyptian farmers were much more fortunate than any other civilization when compared to the unpredictable Tigris and Euphrates rivers in Mesopotamia, and Yangtze, Yellow, Oyangu in the ancient Chinese, and Tiber in the ancient Rome. Likewise, the Nile was a regular as clockwork, and even so, life in Egypt had its risk whenever the floods has taken place through the Nile. Okay, so they constructed with their habitations, the dwellings with the mud bricks, so that whenever the flood taken place, the whole habitation also destroyed. Okay, so again, these people want to again reconstruct their habitations or dwellings. Okay, so and some cities in ancient Egypt were specialized. When you see it as an example, there were political towns that housed the government, workers and officials, such as the capital cities of Memphis and Thebes. Okay, so other towns were religious towns centered around a major temple. Still, other towns were built to the house workers for the major construction projects like the pyramids are like that. Okay, so when you see certain capital cities which followed in the ancient Mesopotamia, according to certain ruling, you can see one or two capital cities as a part of center of attraction. And the largest and most important cities in ancient Egypt were the capital cities, and the capital city moved over the course of time. And the first capital city was the which is the first capital city. You can see as a Memphis or like that. Okay, so the you can see the first capital city is the Thinis, and some of the later capitals include the Memphis, Thebes, and Avaris, Akantan, Tanis, Sayasis, and Alexandria like that. So, according to the rulers, the capital cities also changed according to the time. And when you see the Memphis, one of the important city in the period of older kingdom, and the Memphis was the capital of Egypt from 2950 BC to 2180 BC, like that. And some historians estimate that during its peak, Memphis was the largest city in the world, and Memphis continued to be a large and important city in Egypt even after the capital was moved to Thebes. And it was also a center of religion with many temples. And the main god of Memphis was Papa, and the creator god and the god of prophet. And when you see the Thebes, the first became the capital of Egypt, and around 2135 BC, and on as capital until around 1279 BC. And Thebes and Memphis generally revealed each other as the largest and greatest cities in Egypt. And Thebes was an important political and religious city, and it housed several major temples, including the Temple of Luxor and Temple of Karnak. And the Valley of the Kings is located near the city of Thebes also. Okay, so another one is the Alexandria. Alexandria was one of the important city which is served as the capital city from 332 BC to 651, 41 AD. And the city became the capital when Alexander the Great conquered Egypt, and one of his generals established the Ptolemy dynasty. And Alexandria remained the capital of nearly 1,000 years. In ancient times, the city was famous for the lighthouse of Alexandria, which was one of the seven wonders of the ancient world. And it was also known as the intellectual center of the world and home to the largest library in the world. And Alexandria is located in northern Egypt on the coast of Mediterranean Sea, and it is the second largest city in the ancient Egypt today. And another one is the Amrana. Amarna was the capital city of Egypt during the reign of Pharaoh Akhenaten, and the Pharaoh created his own religion that worshipped the god Aten, and he built the city to honor Aten, and it was abandoned shortly after Akhenaten died. Okay, so apart from these capital cities, there are other important cities also you find within the territories of ancient Egypt. Okay, so first one is the Abydos. Abydos is a very old Egyptian city dating back to before the Old Kingdom, and the city was considered one of the most holy places in Egypt because it was believed that the god Osiris was buried there, and as a result, several temples were built in the city, and the most famous surviving building is the Temple of Seti. Okay, so also some of the first pharaohs of Egypt were buried near Abydos, and another one is the Hermopolis. The city of Hermopolis, also called the Kumnu, and was located on the border between the upper and lower Egypt, and it was wealthy resort town, but also a center of a religion. And the Egyptian mythology said that the first sunrise occurred over the city, and the primary god worshipped here was the Thor. Okay, so another one is the Crocodolopolis, and Crocodolopolis was the Greek name for the city of Sadak, and it was home to the cult of crocodile god Sobek. And archaeologists believe this city was founded around 4000 BC, and today the city is called Fayum, and it is the oldest city in the Egypt also. And another one is the Elephantine. The city was an island that border between Nubia and Egypt, and the city served as the both a defensive port and trade center. Okay, so and it was home to the god of the waters. All right. So another one is the Komombo, and the Komombo was a trade center where many trade routes passed from Nubia to the rest of Egypt, and the city later became famous for the temple of Komombo, and the Egyptians first called the city Nobat, which means the city of the god. Okay, so and apart from these, we can start with the society first of all, and then we'll move to the other things. This you can. Okay, so first of all, I will start with the society. Students, are you hearing? Okay, students, are you hearing?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, right. Okay. So when you see the society, how the society in the Egypt will had certain things first of all, and then when you see the life in the Egyptian society, and like the grand monuments to the kings, Egyptian society formed a pyramid, and the king, queen, and royal family stood at the top. Below them were the other members of the upper class, which included wealthy landowners, government officials, priests, and army commanders. And the next tier of the pyramid was the middle class, which included merchants and artisans. And at the base of the pyramid was the lower class, by far the largest class. It consisted of peasant farmers and laborers. Okay, so in the later periods, the Egyptian history, the slavery became the widespread source of labor, and slaves, usually captives from foreign wars, served in the homes of rich or toiled endlessly in the gold mines of Upper Egypt. Okay, so and the Egyptians were not locked in their social classes. Lower and middle class Egyptians could gain higher status through the marriage or success in their jobs. Even some slaves could hope to learn go to earn their freedom as reward of their loyal service. To win the highest positions, people had to be able to read and write. And one person had these skills. Many careers were open in the army, the royal treasury, the priesthood, and king's court. Okay, so and like other civilizations, Egyptian society also had certain divisions, like three to four divisions. Okay, so one is the upper and the middle and the lower division, and the lower these three divisions having one more subdivision. The lower division has the one more subdivision is nothing but the slave. Okay. So, and which is overall like a pyramid structure of the pyramid. The upper structure of the pyramid with having the rich class and including the royal families and also merchant class, not merchant class, the landlords and many families which adjoining to the royal families are like that. Okay, so as a part of the second class, you will see certain professional class and merchant class and priests also comes under. And in the lower class, you will see the landless labor and peasants are you will see in the lowest strata. And when you see other things as a part of the society, the daily life in the ancient Egyptian society, and looking nice and being clean was very important to the Egyptians. And most everyone, men and women, wore jewelry of some type, and rich wore jewelry made of gold and silver, while the poorer people used the copper. And makeup was important as well, and makeup was worn by both men and women. They had cosmetic cases they would carry around, and the main type of makeup used was eye paint. Okay, so because it was so hot, most people wore white linen clothes, and men wore kilts, and women wore a straight dress, and slaves and servants would wear the patterned fabrics are like that. Okay, so and the average family lived in the village for sun-baked mud houses, and the houses were fairly small with few windows or a furniture. They had flat roofs that the people would sleep on in summer when it was too hot inside. Okay, so the main staple of the common was bread, and they also had fruits, vegetables, lamb, and goats for food. They had clay even to cook it, and usually used dishes made of clay, and the main drink was made from the bottle. Okay, so when you see the division in the society, I'll start with the farmers. Most of the people were farmers. They grew barley to make beer, wheat for bread, and vegetables such as onions and cucumbers, and flax to make into linen. And they grew their crops near the banks of the Nile River, where the rich black soil was good for crops. And when you see the crop people, there were wide variety of craftsmen job, and they included carpenters, weavers, jewelers, leather workers, and potters. And how skilled a craftsman was would determine his success. And you see the soldiers, becoming a soldier was an opportunity for a person to raise in society. And most of the soldiers were footmen. They were a well-defined hierarchy in the Egyptian army. In peacetime, soldiers would help with such as moving stone from for a pyramid or digging a canal. And another one is the scribes. Scribes were important people in ancient Egypt, as they were the only people who knew how to read and write. And scribes came from wealthy families and took years of training to learn and the complex Egyptian hieroglyphics script. And priests and priestesses were responsible for the temples and held religious ceremonies also. Okay, so such important things you will see in the uh, daily life of ancient Egyptian society. And students, we have many things to be covered as a part of the society, and we have to see the position of the woman or the status of the woman. Likewise. Okay. So this is end of my class today. Dear students, um, are you hearing?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, you are well known that tomorrow and day after tomorrow you have the second internal assessment, and be ready for that. And tomorrow we'll post first three papers in the WhatsApp group, and second day, it means the next following day, we'll send two remaining papers in the WhatsApp group, and you have to send it to particular teacher's WhatsApp number. And one more thing you have to remember that you have to answer within 1 hour. Okay, so after posting the question paper in the group, you have to send the answers within the 1 hour. Okay, we'll start posting from 10 o'clock, and 10, we post first paper at 10 o'clock. You have to send it the answers by 11, and we'll post the second paper at 11. You have to send it by 12, and we post the third paper at 12 o'clock, and you have to send it by 11, sorry, 1, right? The same process will be carried on the next day also, where the remaining two papers also you have to answer it and send. And within these 2 days, 6th and 7th, you don't have any classes, and you have to write your assessment test. And again, our classes will start after completion of internal assessment from the 8th onwards, right? Students,
Yes, sir.
okay, so you have
Okay,
any
sir.
doubts, clarification regarding internal assessment, or any, you now you can ask me, and you can clarify also at present.